I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar titled ACE Question and Answer Forum. Today's webinar is sponsored by Scarbrough, which is Scarborough University, was founded in 2006 with a mission to provide necessary, relevant, and continuing education to Scarborough employees, clients, and professionals engaged in international and domestic trade and logistics. My name is Kevin Ekstrand. I am a licensed customs broker and certified customs specialist. I have the privilege of being the Vice President of Sales and Marketing for Scarbrough International, and it's an honor to be with you here today. This is an interactive webinar, and we are here to answer your questions. So to submit a question, you'll find a Q&A button at the top of your screen. I ask that you find that Q&A button and that you start asking your questions. We're starting to get some in right now, but if you could go ahead and start answering or asking your questions right now, that would be great. Please also note that you can easily adjust the windows that you're looking at. I know most of you will want to have a close-up view of Adam and I here. So if you click on above the video piece on your screen, you can enlarge that or maximize that piece so that you can see Adam and I very, very clearly. We know that's probably what's most important. There will be a couple slides, but for the most part, this is a Q&A for us to answer, for you to ask your questions and get answers from us. So while you are adjusting your screens and posting your questions, and because the webinar is free, I'll take a minute to introduce Scarbrough. I know my buddy Jeff is out there watching, and he's going to love this because he always does. Scarbrough is a full-service logistics company that has been operating for over 31 years. We are headquartered in the heart of America, Kansas City, where faith, family, and hard work make for a great organization. We also have offices in Chicago, St. Louis, Des Moines, Laredo, Texas, Nuevo Laredo, Mexico, and Shanghai, China. Beyond our own offices, we are part of a network of companies that puts us in every country around the world. In other words, we're going to take care of you. Okay, so now let me go ahead and introduce you to our presenter today, Mr. Adam Hill. Adam is a licensed customs broker, a certified customs specialist, and a certified export specialist with an MBA. Adam sits on the Trade Support Network with U.S. Customs and Border Protection and has been participating in ACE since 2009. We are pleased to have Adam as our Vice President of Operations for both Scarbrough International and Scarbrough de Mexico. So Adam, let me turn it over to you in just a moment. I wanted to throw up there quickly a quick overview of Scarbrough and all of our companies that fall under our name. And then let me turn it to Adam so that he can begin telling you a little bit about ACE.
Thanks, Kevin. First off, thanks again for everybody for coming. It looks like we still have a few folks logging in, so we'll just keep moving forward here. Like Kevin said, please do submit your questions. I'm going to go through a couple slides here. Just have some basic information, and then we will spend hopefully the majority of this time doing Q&A for you guys. So let me go to the next one quick. So first thing I want to talk about is the ACE portal itself. There is a lot of myth out there about what's going on in the world of ACE. What does the portal mean? What can I do with it? If I'm an importer, I'm an exporter. What exactly does this mean? You've all heard about customs talking about this for a while. So we went out, we pulled just a quick little cheat sheet here on exactly what the difference is between what you can do in the ACE portal itself and then what you can actually do inside of through use of some kind of service provider, whether it be a broker or whether it be some form of software that you guys have in-house. So let's talk about the first one. I'm just going to kind of run down the list here, and then we'll talk a little bit about the applications themselves. So first, send ISF information. So if you'll notice, you can do it one of two ways. You can either do it as part of the ACE portal, or you can do it through a service provider. A quick note about doing it yourself is that it's only designed to allow up to 12 ISF filings per year if you do it inside of the ACE portal. So unless you're a pretty small ocean importer, this probably isn't a very good option for you. You're going to have somebody, some form of a service provider file your ISF for you, unless, like I said, you have your own software. So next is file import ocean or rail manifest. That doesn't really pertain to you guys very much, but note that it is something that is already switched over from the old system into ACE. Import truck manifest. This is important because cargo that moves into the United States, especially if we're talking Mexico, gets a truck manifest filed against it every time. There are two options. It's either done through a service provider or through the ACE portal itself. Once again, this doesn't really affect you much as an importer, just something to note to make sure that your service providers that you're currently using today are ready to go. And that's another thing I guess I want to hit on here quickly is as we talk through a lot of this stuff, be taking some notes. If you haven't, if you're a customer of Scarbrough or a potential customer, you've heard from me or someone on my team here in operations. If you're a potential, you've probably heard from Kevin about a lot of the stuff that we've been doing inside of ACE. But if you're not, I do urge you to take some notes, ask your service provider about what's going on and where they are in their transition. After we get through this, the next slide has some date information on there that everyone should kind of take note of. So the next piece, file an inbound. Once again, that's for any cargo moving inbound in the United States. You can do it through the portal. So your truckers, a lot of truckers are doing this themselves now through the portal. And then a lot of other folks are doing it through service providers. Now we kind of get into the meat of some of this. The first two here, which probably create some confusion right away, is file and entry and file and entry summary. You'll notice that there are two forms missing on this. Form number one is 3461 and the other form is 7501. I know there's a couple of questions firing through here, and I will answer it here in a little bit about kind of the idea behind them. But an entry, as it is known, is the 3461, as most importers already know. And then the entry summary is what's called the 7501. Take big notice here that you have to be functioning through, whether it be a broker, a service provider, or your own software system in order to file customs entries, even if you're a self-filer. You can't just have the ACE portal and assume that now you can file your own entries. It doesn't work like that. We'll talk a little bit here just about some of the changes from an entry process in general when we get a little farther down, but I wanted to kind of take note of that, those two pieces. The next one on here is for a lot of you exporters, and it's file export commodity data. For a long time, we've had a lot of clients or potential clients that have gone through and have said, hey, we want to file our own AES through AES Direct. That's great. If any of you saw yesterday, AES Direct finished its transition into the ACE portal. Now, right now, AES Direct website is still up and running. Customs has not announced a timeline for that yet of when it's going to close down. The closest thing that I've received from anybody at headquarters is multiple months that they're going to run dual systems. So now that it's inside of the ACE portal, if you have an exporter account, you can actually start filing your own AES through the portal if you are already an AES Direct filer yourself. A couple of things to note, please be cautious. If you file your own internally, that you don't duplicate your AES filings and you have one person trying to learn how to do this through the portal while someone else is actually filing it through AES Direct as they normally would. So that's just kind of a point of reference that I would like to make to everybody to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page with that piece of it. I got into the system this morning. Like I said, it was just active yesterday afternoon. It looks pretty basic. Scarbrough uses our software. We don't go through the portal to file AES Direct. So it is available to us though, should we ever need it. So I haven't played around with it a lot yet, but just like I said, just note that it's there. I would recommend that any of you that do file AES Direct start going into the portal, learning how to file AES through there if you're going to continue to file it yourself. Because when it shuts off, Customs will send something out and they'll say you have 30 days, and then that's going to be it. You won't have anything else. So practice now. It's the biggest thing Customs has said from the beginning is practice as much as you can. The next piece of this is running reports. And people are like, well, I run reports all the time. That is in the ACE portal. Those reports are important simply because ACE is the system of record. And if ACE is that system of record to Customs, then all of the data that your broker files on your behalf, your forwarder submits AES on your behalf, that information is deposited inside of your own, I'll call it ACE. Well, it's inside of your own ACE account. So anytime you want to pull that information down, you can actually go in, run reports against the information that has been filed on your behalf. You can schedule reports. You can do some stuff like that. For those of you who are really interested in the ACE portal itself, I can tell you that this Thursday we're putting on a seminar in Des Moines, Iowa. We're putting on another one in Kansas City sometime in the spring. We tried to get one done, but we had more people that showed up to our webinar than the seminar that we wanted to put on here in Kansas City. So please be on the lookout for that as well. We will put one on that'll go much more in depth into the portal itself and how to run reports, how to modify them, how to schedule them to come out to you.
Hands-on, right, Adam?
Yes.
I mean, bring your computer, bring your login,
yeah,
and run some reports, right?
Yeah. One of the most important facts about that specific seminar that we want to give is you need to have an ACE portal account to come. And because it won't do you any good to sit there and just look and watch other people kind of mess with. ACE is not the most intuitive system. It's not terrible, but the government did design it, so there are some flaws. But it is a very hands-on. We're not sure yet, timing-wise, when that's going to happen, but my hope is sometime March, April timeframe, maybe a bit sooner, depending on what kind of response we get.
I will congratulate the group that's on here. 46% of those of you attending today are ACE portal account holders. So thank you for getting involved early and getting onto the portal. That's great.
No, it is great. And if you're not, I'll talk to the application itself here in a second, but make sure you move that to the top of your to-do list as ACE continues to go live. This isn't something that you just press a button and something gets auto-generated and sent to you. It still goes through a person, which means that as we get closer and closer to more ACE deadlines, more and more people are going to start applying to get access to their portal. And so there's going to become a backlog. So the quicker you get in and get access, the better it's going to be. The next thing on here is the responding to CF-28s, CF-29s, things of that nature. In there, right now, if you guys get a request for information, you get something that comes to you in the mail, or maybe your broker sends you a copy of it. Note that now you can set this up so you get them electronically and you can actually respond, and then you have a record of that response. Creating blanket declarations. This goes even all the way down to NAFTA. You can create NAFTA declarations inside of the ACE portal, so there is no more, did you send it on time or anything like that. You as the importer can actually create that declaration in there. Submit supporting documentation. You'll see a note there that says DIS under the system side, and then you can actually upload forms through the portal. So if Customs asks for information from you directly as an importer, you can actually upload that information. And the nice thing about that is now you have the ability to track that. You'll get a date stamp back. You'll get an email back that says, yes, this has been submitted, and you'll get a confirmation from it. So that's a nice piece. Any of you that pay your own customs duties, you can actually see that in your portal account. Make post summary corrections. I know a lot of importers just twinged because when Customs did this, when they transitioned into ACE, what everyone knows of as the PEA or post entry amendment has gone away. If your brokers are filing your entry summaries in ACE, the idea of a PEA is gone and has been replaced with what's called the PSC or post summary correction. Now, why that is different is twofold. One is a PEA is a paper process. You send a piece of paper in with backup 7501s, and it's a large paper process that then you have to wait for someone at the port to go through. With the post summary correction, you can actually go in and your broker can resubmit the entry through just customs ABI software, and then you don't have as much paperwork to follow. You get a record that you've retransmitted the summary. If customs asks for additional information, I get the record back. Now, note that you as an importer cannot do this on your own. Like I said, this is a big, I've talked to a lot of importers, some very large importers, and this is the one thing that they don't like, is just the fact that a lot of them used to manage this PEA process in-house. And as their brokers transition to ACE, they're unable to continue to manage that process in-house unless they get their software, unless they get some kind of ABI connection with US Customs. Note inside of that, though, is that let's say that you use a different broker, but you, Scarbrough can still file a PSC, or if you as an importer have your own software system, you can file your own PSC even if you didn't file the customs entry. So the same person who filed the entry does not have to be the same person who sends in the post-summary correction. Real quick on the portal accounts over there, you'll see two links. The top one is for every account basis except for an exporter. So this means you're an importer, you're a trucker, you're a customs broker like us. Most of you are going to be importers. If you don't have one, go ahead and fill that out. The application looks much more intimidating than it actually is. So I think the application is 6 or 7 pages long. There might be 15 boxes where you actually have to put information in. They tried to create a one-size-fits-all form all the way from steamship lines to truckers to draymen to brokers to insurance companies, and they tried to create one form for everybody. So there's a lot of information that won't apply to you directly. The second link there is the exporter one for those of you who need to file AES and things of that nature. Go ahead, request that information. It's a much simpler form to fill out. The non-exporter one is actually a PDF. It does have an automated send button in there, but that automated send button then just takes it to your email and you send in the document itself. In the exporter application, it is a fully web-based application. So you press submit, customs gets your information in that process. From everything we've heard, is moving quicker than the other one. Just it's more electronic. There's just not as much data required. Hit the next one here. So last slide here that I kind of just want to go through, and then we have a host of questions that have kind of come through here that we'll start to answer. And hopefully, as I've been talking, you all have thought of a few more questions. But this is on the import side of the house. And the reason this is important is because Customs actually issued some dates here. So the first one you see over there with the check mark was May of 2015. So that's obviously come and gone. All manifest filing is done through ACE. So now let's start looking at that middle section, those red dates there. So let's go to November 1st. November 1st, I guess at this point a month ago, I feel like it should have been yesterday. The transition period begins. Now everyone remembers that probably 4 months ago, everyone was worried that that was the official drop dead day. Customs listened to the trade. I can tell you there are still a host of customs brokers who are not ready for this. Last I saw, only 50% of the trade on in the brokerage community could even file in ACE, but not even that many that are capable of filing are actually submitting data inside of ACE. Now that can be for a multitude of reasons. I'm not sure exactly why, but one of those things you want to be asking your broker right now. So in that transition period, there are some entry types, 01s, which is 90%, 99% of everything that pretty much get filed, 11s, 03s, 51s, 52s, and then you'll notice down at the bottom, with or without PGA data. So for those of you who had seen maybe line item charges on your invoice, it said OGA or maybe it said FDA or things like that, Customs decided that the FDA, the USDA, were no longer other government agencies or OGAs. They were now partner government agencies or PGAs. So you will see a lot of reference to the term PGA inside of any ACE document that you read. All that is referring to is all of the other government entities that require information in order for your cargo to fully release customs. customs.
Adam, we had a quick question on
Yeah.
that. How many PGAs are actively participating in the ACE certification process?
So
Thank you, Jeff, for the question.
So right now, you'll see there in the February 28th, you have FDA, you have NHTSA, National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, which a lot of you know is DOT, and APHIS, which is actually USDA, but it's Lacey Act. So any of you that import wood products that require wood information, that is in pilot right now, getting ready to go live as of February 28th, 2016. And that day is important because any of you that have FDA, NHTSA, or Lacey Act data, come February 28th, if your broker cannot file that information in ACE, your cargo will not clear customs. So that is something you guys need to be focused on. I know, talking to my own staff here, you know, we're 90 days out, guys. We're not that far away from that day, you know, for this to be important. Now, if you talk to some of your brokers, you're going to hear a lot of grumbling, and I've had my own about the speed at which those PGAs have come to the table with their data requirements. I can tell you that Scarbrough is fully live in the NHTSA program right now. We've gone through the full pilot. We are filing those entries today. We are getting our cargo release and everything done through ACE. We are in the process of testing FDA with a client. Our hope is that's done here in the next week or so, assuming FDA will actually respond to us, which I have talked to many other folks from the trade on some of the groups that I sit on, and FDA has not been responding to a lot of people. We don't have a lot of Lacey Act in general. We do have a couple, so we will be getting through that pilot as well. We are also in the process, which isn't until sometime in July, we are working on the ATF pilot. We are working on the EPA pilot. We are working on the Fish and Wildlife pilot. So we're already kind of working on those as well. But bear in mind that these dates are extremely important, because when these dates go live, the old system is going away. Customs at this point has said there will be no hybrid filings, and it's going to have to be ACE or fully paper. And talking with anybody at headquarters, Customs does not have the staffing to handle paper-based entries. I can't even imagine walking into the Customs house and seeing all of the entries stacked up one on top of the other. So if you guys aren't ready, if your service providers aren't ready, come February 28th, you are going to have problems. So make sure, like I said, if you're not a Scarbrough client, if you haven't been hearing from us, and you have a different service provider as a customs broker, that you are beating them up right now and making sure that they're ready to go live. Because I do not believe that date's going to get moved. That date went through a lot of ups and downs from November to February, but they have locked it in. And then you kind of look at that July, and then we kind of hit everything else: AMS, the rest of APHIS, ATF, CDC, DEA, Food Service Inspection, TTB, National Marine Fisheries. So now we start hitting everything going into that. So, you know, that July is not that far away. We're getting really close to all of this stuff going live. And you'll notice hybrid submissions will no longer be allowed come July. So, I mean, we're getting very close to that time when, if you're not ready, you will not be able to clear your cargo, because you're going to have to either go to an all paper process or some other way that Customs comes up with. And right now they're sticking with the all paper form. And then you finally see that October day. And that October day is the final drop dead for everything that Customs considers core. Now, if you go out to Customs website, they will show you a programming schedule that actually pushes things all the way out into late 2017. Those items are considered non-core, and those are things like protests moving into the ACE environment and things of that nature. But those aren't core to the commerce of the United States. So they've kind of pushed those beyond just a little bit. So with that, I'm going to kind of turn and look at Kevin here and see if we can get some of your questions answered. And as we're talking, please feel free to throw some more out there.